Hello everyone, I'm Kathryn and welcome to my new series, Book Dissect, where I look at nonfiction and fiction books and dissect them to find the best and worst parts of the book to help you be a better writer. So the first book that I am dissecting is Joanna Penn's How to Make a Living with Your Writing. And if you want to find this book, I've left the link in the description below so that you can go check it out. Let's get into the good and the bad. It's really difficult for me to come up with something that I didn't like about this book because it was very enjoyable. And the only thing that I can even come up with that was bad, and yes, I'm using the bunny ears of death there, is the informal tone. In the other nonfiction books that I've read, there's always been this more formal tone where I get this feeling that the writer is the professor and I'm the student, so I listen and absorb the ideas that I'm getting from the book. I didn't feel like I was a student. I felt like Joanna and I have been friends for forever. We were at a cafe, having some coffee, and just talking over the prospect of me being a writer and how I can make a living from it. And so the two feels are completely different. And when I first started reading, it sort of took me by surprise and caught me off guard. And there was this moment where the informal tone sort of gave me this impression that she doesn't know what she's talking about, and I was skeptical. But once I got farther into the book, all the information that she was giving were some things that I did know, some things that I never thought of, and some things that I had read about, but she gave other examples of how they could be done. And it really got me thinking, and at the end of the book, I enjoyed the informal tone because it made all the information that she gave seem somewhat less overwhelming because there is a lot of information. So this book is broken up into 3 parts. The first is tips, and it talks about mindset and your way of thinking and how to get from where you are now to the point of where you want to be, and that is making money from your writing. The second part of the book is everything under the sun that has to do with writing the book, publishing the book, marketing the book. And then the last section, which honestly is the best section, and like round of applause for Joanna Penn, because this is something that is not talked about enough, is that she goes into detail about how to diversify your income when it comes to writing. So there are a couple things that jump out at me that I think are really good about this book. And the first off is the title. How to make a living with your writing. I think that is a question that everybody asks. So not only does that get her book to rank, but the best part is that she actually answers the question in her book. And she doesn't answer it in just one way, it's answered in multiple ways. And then there's so much that is answered. And I really enjoy that the question matches the theme of the book and that you get an answer to the book. And I think if you're going to write a nonfiction self-help book, that's very important, because nothing is worse than when you read a title of a book, read the book, and your question isn't answered. The second important part that jumped out at me was the balance that she has. In every nonfiction book that I've read, there's always 3 parts to it: the personal part, the information part, and the marketing part. Overall, I think nonfiction books are somewhat difficult to write because if you don't have a good balance, then your book comes off as scammy. This book though is perfect. At no point in reading the book did I ever think that the information wasn't useful or that I was being scammed. There's really not enough good things that I can say about this book. And guys, I went in really skeptical because as a general rule, I view nonfiction self-help as somewhat of a scam, and that's because unfortunately, most of the books that I've read have just come off as scammy, but this was a pleasant surprise. I feel bad now for having such a low opinion of the genre as a whole because Joanna Penn, this book was just amazing. If you'd like to read this book, I've left a link in the description below. I highly recommend this. If you're a writer, if you're on YouTube, the diversifying income section of this book I think would be really helpful to you. I know that I'm definitely going to be taking some of the suggestions that she wrote and apply them to my own YouTube channel. And if you want to know more about Joanna Penn, I will leave a link to her blog and her YouTube You guys should check her out because I am thoroughly impressed after reading her book. And if you read this book, I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so YouTube won't tell you when my new videos come out. But hey, come back on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays because that's when I have new videos. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Tootsies, may applesines. So one of the things I've yet to invest in are those umbrella lamps, and instead I bought these really nice bright lights, but they just had warm colors. Feel like it adds a yellow tint, but looking at the picture, like it looks really nice, and I'm overall happy because otherwise I wouldn't be able to shoot because I live in Belgium and it's dark.